Coming up on this week's show, we find a VW Golf GTi equivalent from Hyundai and Honda.
SUVs from Mazda, Chery and Haval come under the spotlight.
And we advise a viewer who wants to trade in a young Polo for an old Tiggo.
Hello and welcome to Buyer's Guide. We've got another jam-packed varied lineup with everything from hot hatches to double cabs and of course a generous helping of SUVs. And here to help us delve into all of that is Gift Makoti from Gifted Media and Richard Marshall from Chery, South Africa. Welcome gentlemen, nice to have you back with us.
Good to see you back here, guys. Okay, now without you, there wouldn't be a show. So keep those questions coming, guys. Send us an email to buyersguide@ignitiontv.co.za, or you can pop us a DM on Instagram @ignitiontv. And the panel will be happy to answer your vehicle-related queries. Please remember to give us as much information as possible and a pretty picture of yourself. Now we're going to kick off things with a question from Danny, who's looking for a second car with a budget of 290,000 Rand. And he's considering alternatives to the Volkswagen Golf GTi, either from Honda or Hyundai. Also, he questions if a 15-minute drive on a straight road is truly enough. Now, Danny wants advice on how to request a longer test drive to better assess the car's performance and comfort. That's a good one. Richard, 15-minute test drive. Yeah, go around the corner, come back, don't find any faults and buy the car.
Yeah, so for me, it depends. Does it drive, does it stop, does it steer?
Yeah.
If it does those things, cool, move on, check fluids. If they're all fine, check the history.
Is it long enough? I mean, surely if
I
you're buying a new car or a second,
it's long enough.
Yeah.
In 15 minutes also, if you know where the location is, you kind of have planned it out where you're going to go,
Yeah.
But, the overall appeal of the car, you can get so much information online. I know it's not necessarily to your taste, but, the overall practicality and efficiency and all those types of things, like YouTube is your friend, really.
Yeah. But you know what I say to clients of mine, if you're going to go buy a car, doesn't matter if it's new or used or whatever, take it for a decent drive. If you get in the car and you turn the key on and the petrol lights on, say to the guy, let's go put some fuel in, I want to go on the highway. Yeah. Because if you're driving it around the suburbs and you say, oh, this is cool, because around the suburbs is fun, you get in the highway and you realize it can't go up a hill at 120 k's an hour. Gift.
He doesn't say which Golf GTi this is, but with that budget, it's probably going to be a Golf 7.
Yeah.
I don't see him going back to like a Golf 6 or a Golf 5.
Yeah.
But I still wouldn't recommend that, especially at this time. Those cars were released, in 2010, 2009, 2011 latest. That's like almost like a 20-year-old car, almost. Yeah. So I wouldn't advise him to go for...
So 300,000 Rand budget's not going to get you a Type R Honda, unless it's an older one, and Absolutely. It ain't going to get you
a mint fresh GTi.
No. The N.
The i30N, no.
No, because all that.
Cut it.
So 290,000 Rand, you're going to buy an older Honda Type R.
Yeah.
And I would recommend that all day long instead of a GTi.
Instead of a GTi, yes.
Yeah, I mean, GTIs are hard driven. By the time they were released, and even now, you still see them being heavy-footed. The drivers are heavy-footed on the road. It's not a car that's going to be a garage queen. And for instance, if this is a GTi from 15 years ago, it's definitely not a mint car. So stay away from it. If you don't have money to buy a newer one, go for the Type R, and those can last for a while.
Yeah, I think that the Type R is your only option here. Yeah. A Golf GTi at 290,000, call it 300,000 Rand, for me is a no-no. If you're going to buy a Golf GTi, you either buy it brand new or it's got to be like a year old.
Yeah.
Because everybody hammers it. Am I right?
Yeah, true.
Yeah. I suppose there's one more to throw in there would be like something like a Focus ST, and you must probably find that in
what
there.
I had down, because they are great value used at the moment.
Yeah, great value because there's nothing left of the... Find me a Focus ST, low miler, that I can get in and drive without worrying about the suspension or the gearbox or the turbo that I might have to replace in a couple of weeks' time.
Look,
because the Focus ST is nobody's garage queen.
Absolutely.
No, absolutely, as any of them are. But I mean, because the resale is kind of so poor at the moment, at 290,000, you get one that is in considerably better condition than a GTR.
Unless if he's looking for an automatic.
But you don't get auto in the ST.
That's
so
the
you
thing.
don't have to worry about gearbox.
You see, all these cars that I mentioned, except maybe the Honda, they'll all be garage, not queens, kings. They'll be king of my garage. They'll be living in my garage, getting fixed all the time because they'll be broken. So 300,000 Rand to find yourself a decent hot hatch, doesn't matter what make, is very difficult. The strongest one of the lot, the most reliable one of the lot, will be the Honda Type R, but it won't have the performance because it's
If he wants to really waste money and spend money regularly, he can look at the Renault RS Cup.
Well, that's the same story.
That's another
any
super-
hot
There's
hatch,
another hot hatch.
Yeah.
they're all
You
gonna
know,
they're
but
all-
it'll be at Adams or my garage regularly.
they're going to make us rich.
Yeah. Our next viewer is Tango, a first-time car buyer from the Eastern Cape. He's got his eye on a 2012 Volkswagen Jetta 6 TSI with 166,000 kilometers on the clock. He seeks a detailed overview of the pros and cons of this model and year, especially given its mileage. He wants to know if this is a good used buy or should he look at something else. Richard?
Didn't give us a price, so we don't know. Richard, what do you think of this
I
TSI?
had a little look online to see roughly what that would cost.
Yeah.
It would anywhere between 140 and 160 is kind of your mark retail for one of those.
And this car's only done 16,000 Ks a year or less.
Yeah, look, I wrote a cons list for this car. I didn't write a pros.
You didn't write a pros list.
Yeah.
It's a 13-year-old TSI. He also doesn't say whether it's manual or
DSG.
our
DSG.
dear DSG that we
Yeah.
Yeah.
so positively speak about. No, I wouldn't. Definitely not. For 140 or 160,000, I personally would go and get a Mazda 6 sedan, 2-liter, be done.
There's a
as
car that I
reliable as
never
the
thought
hill.
Yeah,
of.
because he's looking at a Jetta 6, which is a
risk.
sedan,
He wants a
yeah.
sedan. He wants
Yeah.
that kind of, I actually like the idea that he's looking for a sedan. I actually genuinely like the Jetta, but in diesel manual.
Yeah.
That would be the only other alternative, but the TDRs hold their value too much to kind of fit into his price range, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I would go Mazda 6, 2-liter.
Cool. That's a great option. Gift.
I wrote down practicality-wise.
Yeah.
I think the Polo naturally aspirated 1.4, 1.6 sedan does the same job as the Jetta does. Probably will last longer because you don't have a turbo in that car.
Yeah.
And I see quite a lot of them on a lot of showrooms with well over 200,000, and they're still on the road. I personally had one in the family that is currently sitting on 300 and something.
Yeah,
Never
the non-turbo versions are
Yeah.
actually good, reliable cars.
100%. Yeah.
You know, I'm going to go to one of Adam's favorites, the Honda Civic.
Yeah.
If he's looking for sedan,
Sure.
look at the Honda Civic.
Even the Honda Accord,
Honda
if you want
Accord,
something
yeah.
slightly bigger, if you can find that.
Yeah.
They
If
are.
you can find it, yeah.
Yeah.
I think in terms of cost of ownership, what you end up taking out your wallet every month to fix them, they're a lot cheaper to run. Look at it, if it's a manual, then great. But what we've got here is also the diesel version. If you can find the diesels are strong, and if a manual gearbox, it's fine. I mean, the car is a nice car in terms of its size, its practicality, its drivability, everything. But it's getting older. I would certainly take our guests' advice and start to look at other things before you go on to the decision of that. Because 166,000, if it's a 2-liter TSFI, you won't get a 200,000. The engine's going to be kaput. And then you're talking to fix an engine on one of those 70,000 Rand plus, when you must probably paid, like you say, 120, 140 for the car, half the price of the car.
Yeah.
I like the Mazda 6 option.
Yeah,
though.
I think the Mazda.
I
risk
like them.
as well,
That's,
Wow.
that's a brilliant option. Yeah.
It's a car that we forget about. And Mazda make really good cars.
They
They're
do.
reliable. You can park it anywhere. You leave the keys in it, they won't steal it.
Yep.
So it's a really, really good option there. Okay, stay tuned. So after the break, SUVs from Mazda, Chery, and another Chinese company, Haval. They go head to head.
And we go in search of a reliable 4x4 bakkie under the 500,000 Rand mark. You're watching Buyer's Guide, and if you've just joined us, welcome to this week's show. Tobela, a 32-year-old from Quebec, has a cash budget of 400,000 Rand and is looking for a reliable car that will last for at least 5 years. He's considering the Mazda CX-5, Haval Jolion, Volkswagen T-Cross, and the Chery Tiggo 7. But he's also open to other suggestions as well. So let's leave you out, Mr. Chery. Let's go with gift.
Well, funny enough, I was going to vote for the Chery Tiggo 7 Pro, but I'm going to start with this budget. It's pretty decent. Looking at this budget, he can also get a BMW X1 F48 20D or 18D. Those are very much reliable, and this is a 32-year-old person, and they might be willing, whether they'll have a small family or they're going to have a family. That's a car that's very much practical. It's got the electric tailgate. It's got all the the semi-nice features, like almost what the Chery Tiggo 7 Pro has. But the Tiggo 7 Pro will definitely be my second option if he doesn't go for the 18D or 20D.
Look, I'll be honest. CX-5, I've always been an advocate for a CX-5. They're great cars.
But you're not going to get one new for that.
But you're not going to get one new, exactly. You can go and buy a Chery Tiggo 7 1.5 Distinction, and it's $399 retail, brand new. So you're going to be hard pressed to beat that. In all honesty, you might get close in a Jolion. I mean, they basically answered the question behind us. That's exactly the car I would go and get. Obviously, we know what the current value add with Chery and our warranty and etc. I do like your idea of the BMW. I'm always a diesel fan of BMWs.
You'll get
but
one
again,
out of
it's
warranty.
not going to be new, and it's going to be
I wouldn't
well used.
advocate so much for the BMW. When it comes to repairing the vehicle and the cost factor involved in replacing parts,
General maintenance.
general maintenance, it is obscenely
Yeah,
expensive.
they are expensive. Yeah.
You know, so you had to give some good advice.
Why didn't
Okay,
I-
give, let's say, good advice.
Yeah.
Leave the BMW out.
Why did nobody mention the VW T-Cross? It's such a nice car to drive.
Great car, but
Such
it
a-
adds risk and
Yeah.
not actually that big inside. It really isn't that big of a car.
You see, I didn't want to
Yeah,
say
it's-
that, so that's why I asked you guys.
It looks smaller and smaller,
Someone-
out in and outside.
You should also look at the Korean option, the Kia and the Hyundai.
Seltos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
New, you can get new, but if you want a bigger option, the Sportage and the Tucson, and then you'll get pretty new ones at 400k.
The Sonet is also a bit of an option there.
Sonnet.
Sonnet, yeah.
Sonet, is that what we're calling them now?
Oh,
Sonet.
Sonet.
Like
Is that a French version of that car?
I just figured.
Or the Tucson, as opposed to the...
The Tucson, yeah.
Swan.
Four.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is, I mean, the Kia, it's a great option there from SIG. It's a great option. I like the Chery Tiggo 7. I think it's spacious, lots of features in it.
Plenty.
I like the CX-5 option. though,
CX-5.
Yeah.
But
CX-5 option.
you're
Big
going to
enough.
get one that's most probably 2 years old.
At least.
At
I
least.
had a little look, and if
Yeah.
you want spec, it's going to have 60, 70 on the clock
Yeah.
already.
Okay, we're going to move on to Satali, who's a 30-year-old marine engineer from Namibia. Or is that a fisherman? He needs a reliable 4x4 for long trips to the Zambezi region. Yes, he is a fisherman. And daily use around Windhoek. He's got a 500,000 rand budget, and he's eyeing a second-hand Toyota Hilux. But he'll also consider the Mitsubishi Triton, Isuzu D-Max, Mazda BT50, or their SUV equivalents. Road conditions can be rough, of course, especially during the rainy season. So it's durability and reliability is most important.
There's
Gibbs,
only
let's go
one
with you.
car in that lot for me.
Yeah, we know which one we're going with.
I'm definitely going to vote for the Isuzu D-Max. And for a little bit, maybe 50, 60k more, he can get a brand new one with a 500,000 rand budget. He can put a little bit more, and you're probably going to get a lower spec one that doesn't have all these cool things in there. But he's going to get a brand new car that's going to drive a lot of mileages.
Yeah.
And he's doing a lot of work. He's a 30-year-old engineer who does a lot of driving, long trips. So I think the Isuzu D-Max wins here because the Toyota could be second-hand. Yes, they have proven durability, but why not get a new one?
Yeah. Chery doesn't have a bakkie yet.
Yet.
What would you say?
Look, so, I mean, Toyota is the logical option here. But for me, because they are so good, their resale is so strong. So if you're buying used, you get more value in a Triton, especially a Triton. D-Max falls somewhere between the two of them. It's a really good middle ground. I would probably agree with Gift here. I would most likely go D-Max because you're also going to probably have more dealers of a Isuzu out there in Namibia than you are of
I don't know.
Mitsubishi.
So talking about exactly that,
Yeah.
dealers and as Adam say, under every tree you're going to find a Toyota
Yeah,
dealership.
you are going to.
So for me, doesn't matter how many kilometers the Toyota Hilux has on it.
Yeah, for sure.
That would be the car. Don't forget, he said reliability,
He's got a
durability.
500,000 rand
reliable.
budget. He's going
Yeah.
to find yourself.
Plenty of options with
Plenty.
500,000.
You're going to find a low
500k, you'll get, I say, Hilux.
Yeah.
Toyota Hilux.
Definitely.
That's the car for Namibia, for him.
I'm with Gift in the Isuzu. The Isuzu's a good vehicle, but it's boring as hell.
So is the
Inside's
Toyota.
bland.
So is the Toyota. I mean, let's be
No, but I mean, the Toyota's a little bit better. I mean, it's a bakkie, of course, but the Isuzu is just always a bit...
It adds spice because someone might take it from you.
Yeah. So the Toyota, I don't know the theft risk.
In Namibia.
I wouldn't
Yeah,
think
it
it
might
would
be a
be.
lot
See,
less,
I don't think it's something to consider. I would buy the Toyota full stop, because you could buy a 1-year-old one. You'll find a 1-year-old one within that reason. You can get a decent 2.4
GD6.
GD6.
Yeah.
They will last a long time. They'll be reliable. You'll get it fixed everywhere. The Mitsubishi Triton is, I think, especially the new one, or even if you've got the old one, they're great. But dealers, how many dealers are there? With Toyota, you know, if you drive and you went through from Namibia and he wanted to go to Zambezi, so he wants to go to Zimbabwe to go fishing or whatever the marine engineer does, you can break down the middle of the desert and you'll break down next to a Toyota dealer because there'll be an Oasis and there'll be a Toyota dealer.
But you know why there's not so many Mitsubishi dealerships, guys?
Because they don't sell enough cars to
Because they don't break down.
They are great.
good one.
They really are.
consideration,
Yeah.
you know.
Very underrated.
Very underrated.
Probably the most underrated double cab in the South African.
And that's why you'll get more bang for your buck with a Triton.
Exactly.
Yeah, but in this
But in this instance, I'll have to go with the Hilux.
Yeah, reliability.
the Hilux
Ultimate.
or Gift's idea of the Isuzu is also a good idea, but I still think we're going to disagree here. But I think the Hilux is just
Yep.
proven.
We're going with the Hilux, yeah. We'll be taking a short break, but when we return, we advise a viewer who would like to swap the 2023 VW Polo for a 2017 Tiguan.
And we tried to find the cause for a Nissan NP200's squeaky back brakes. Welcome back to Buyer's Guide. Up next, we have a question from 50-year-old Leon. He currently drives a 2023 VW Polo TSI Life with only 25,000 trouble-free kilometers on the clock. However, he's contemplating exchanging it for a 2017 VW Tiguan 2-litre TDI R-Line with 140,000 kilometers on the clock. Now, obviously, it's 50,000 Rand premium on the Tiguan opposed to the Polo. Seeks advice on whether this upgrade to an older, higher spec SUV would be a wise decision. Gift, do you think it's a wise decision?
Absolutely not. I'll say he's basically trying to, the only pros here is that he's trying to get a little bit more space and a little few centimeters off the ground clearance. I don't see why he shouldn't continue driving this car, pay it off, and then later on he would decide to buy it for a newer Tiguan or something like that. But for now, I don't see a reason for swapping a 2023 Polo, which is 2 years old, for a much older vehicle. No. I think Leon is...
The only thing is we don't know his obviously circumstances. Maybe he's got extra kids or space that he needs. That then he wants to go to a bigger car. Maybe the Polo is too small. Would you go for a Tiguan, Richard?
I like the Tiguan, especially in that spec and engine choice there, but no ways, not in this situation.
Yeah.
You look, again, if the information was here, maybe there is some external factors, but for what's presented to us, no ways.
I think what we're saying is if your Polo is right for you in terms of its space and what you need, to go to a much older, bigger car is fine. But on the Tiguan side of things, you're most probably going to find the maintenance costs are going to be a hell of a lot higher than that of your basically brand new.
You know, I don't know who advised Leon to do this, but whoever did is sharp as a butter knife.
Yeah.
Must be a younger person. Leon is 50.
Yeah.
Must be
I mean,
old.
let's hope that, we're saying don't do this and you haven't done it.
Yeah.
Because normally people do it first and then write to us.
Yeah.
It's like somebody asked me this morning, one of my clients said to me, would you buy this car? I won't mention it. And I said, hell no, that's a piece of junk. That's probably the worst car I ever driven. He said, I just bought one for my son. I'm going to fetch it now after I've dropped my car for service. And I'm like, oh dear. Shut your face, Don't,
But you
don't
gave
ask
him
why
honest
first.
advice, Adam.
Huh?
Giving someone honest advice shouldn't be
I
a
know,
problem.
but it's
Looking for
terrible when
validation
the
of
guy's
the-
paid and everything for it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
Anyway.
in terms of this, no, we wouldn't. If you want a slightly larger car, look around. I mean, the Tiguan 2-litre TDI is not a bad car. We're not saying it's rubbish. The problem is it's got a lot of mileage on it. It's being an R-Line, it'll be a DSG. More than
years
likely
old.
that
More than likely, yeah.
damn stupid gearbox is going to break soon. And, like I've mentioned many times on these shows, they're so expensive to fix. So we would advise not. You asked us, we're telling you, no, keep your Polo. Or maybe look for a Japanese SUV, like a CX-5 if you need something bigger.
And he's still going to have a 50K premium, though.
Yeah.
Whatever he looks at, it's going to cost him money for an older car.
Yeah.
So this is a
with the
definite
new
no-no, Leon.
Yeah.
No.
You still got warranty and everything, so stick with it. Yeah.
And finally, Eugene owns a 2016 Nissan NP200, which has new brake drums and linings in the rear. Despite the recent replacement, the brakes squeak loudly, and he is baffled as to why this is happening. could it be that the front brakes also need attention? And I was just going to say that.
Yeah.
You don't know where the squeak's coming from.
about to say
The
the same
squeak's probably coming from the front. You know, more than likely it's coming from the front.
Yeah.
Very rarely I've seen the rear brakes squeak. They do squeak, but if you pull the drums off, you skim them and you replace them, the squeak is definitely gone.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that the squeak is coming from the front. You should have the front brakes looked at.
If it is from the back, it can be a fitment issue as well.
Yes.
Because they do have a lot of springs and adjusters inside them, and sometimes what happens is when they fit them, they don't fit them properly, and maybe something's touching
Come loose.
the wheel. So it's got to be rechecked for starters. The drum and the brake shoe, where were they sourced? The quality of brake shoe and brake drum, where did they come from? Like we mentioned, it can be coming from the front as well. We have in the trade a very simple solution to resolve that problem. It's foolproof. It works every single time. The easiest way to do it is you just turn your car radio up.
Yes.
Loud music, you won't hear.
You won't hear the squeak.
Problem solved.
Yeah.
No, but on a serious note, you need if some. I don't know who changed the brakes for you. Was it a workshop? If it was, you take it back to them, and they can isolate. Is it coming from the back? Is it coming from the front? Because I mean, we'll get in cars sometimes and you hear a squeak and you think it's from the front, but actually it's coming from the back or vice versa. So you've got to isolate if it is definitely coming from the back or if it's coming from the front, and then get that resolved, check it out to make sure. It could be just lining. Sometimes you get a lining which is a very hard component, a very hard compound on the brake lining.
Used, yeah.
Can cause a squeak, and but get it checked out.
And that's the
Sometimes
next
it's
point
not
we need
serious.
to make,
Yeah.
is that the brake pads and linings these days are not made any longer from asbestos.
Which
So
used to have a sound. That used to be a sound deadener. Yeah?
Yes. Right now, this the compound they're using is very hard, and also depending on the brake or the manufacturer that makes it.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you can put 10 sets of brake pads on a vehicle, and only one set doesn't squeak.
Yeah. I've
And
had
that's
incident.
I've had this problem regularly,
Yeah.
and you know, you just try and keep trying until you get it right.
And it can be specific on a car. Maybe for argument's sake, on this car, you may have a problem with a wheel bearing, which is a bit loose, which causes the drum to oscillate and vibrate. and that
Or run
causes it.
skew, yeah.
We've had instances where a customer will come to us, we fit brand new brake shoes or brake pads to it, and they make a noise. You take them off, you put them aside, they've only been driven for 2 days, and you put another set on the car,
Perfect.
noise goes away. You take that same set and you put it on another car, and there's no noise from the other car.
Yeah.
So sometimes these things can be fiddly to actually resolve.
And
But
sometimes
certainly
it's
get it checked out.
just a driver issue,
Yeah,
you know.
a bad driver. Okay.
Harsh braking.
Unfortunately, just like that, we've come to the end of another episode. Richard Gift, it's been a great pleasure having you here today with us in the studio, and thank you for all your helpful advice and input.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks, guys.
Until next time, remember to keep left past right, and please keep it safe on the roads.